How's it going, everyone? We'll be doing a review today of the book of Exodus. So, as you guys know, Joseph and his generation died, and the Israelites kept on multiplying and they became very strong in Egypt. And as you know, that previous generation died, and so did the previous Egyptians. So, that meant that the new Pharaoh kind of started getting scared of the Israelites. They were multiplying, they were becoming powerful in the land. So, what did he do? He started oppressing them again, right? So, this is where Moses is going to come in and free them, but we still gotta backtrack a little bit. So Pharaoh gives an order, pretty much saying, "Hey, look, if an Israelite woman gives birth to a child, specifically a man, like right, they have to get killed. He can't, grow up." And a very special woman gives birth to Moses, right? And Moses in Hebrew means to draw out or like to take out of the water. That's why he got named Moses, because what his mom did was she hid him for 3 months and then she put him kind of like in a basket. You guys know when you go like on a picnic or something like that. She put him inside of that and she threw him to the Nile River, right? The current Nile River that we know all about in Egypt, Moses, he floated through that, so that's pretty cool. And then the interesting thing is Pharaoh's daughter, the guy that commanded, hey, every Israelite man, little child should be killed. The daughter was the one that saved Moses. So that's pretty interesting. And right, so Moses is raised by Pharaoh's daughter. Right, he grows older, and then it's actually pretty interesting. Moses kills a man in Egypt because he sees the Egyptian kind of, you know, using a lot of brute force against his people, the Israelites, and this is where Moses goes, kills him. He hides him in the sand, and he flees to Midian. And this is where he finds his wife, and a lot of growth happens during this period to Moses. And this is where his call from God comes in. So God appears to Moses as a burning bush, but the bush is not being consumed. It's just on fire, and it starts speaking to him. And then Moses is like, I mean, he probably tripped out. If that happened to me, I'll be like, what? That's kind of crazy. So, you know, God pretty much tells Moses, hey, Moses, your job is to deliver the people out of Egypt. They're slaves right now. You're going to go in there and you're going to get them free, right? You're going to be their leader. And of course, what does Moses do? Moses throws him a couple objections like, who am I? Like, I'm not that skilled. I'm slow to speech and tongue. You know, I'm not a great leader. All those things. So God responds, right? God gives him a right hand man, which is Aaron, and God also gives him three signs to like give him confidence to be able to free the people out of Egypt. And the first one is Moses' staff turns into a serpent. The second one, Moses' hand, his hand becomes kind of white, like leprous, then is restored back to being normal. And the third one, the water from the Nile River turns into blood, right? And God tells Moses one specific thing. Hey, just so you know, Pharaoh is not gonna let you go very easily, right? He's gonna be hard on you. His heart's gonna be heavy, right? He's not gonna let you just go in there. Hey, look, just let us go. We're God's chosen people. He's gonna fight you and try to hold you. So this is where kind of like the 10 plagues start. So Moses tells Pharaoh, hey, look, God spoke to me. You have to let me go with my people. And as we know, Pharaoh's heart gets hardened. So the first plague is water gets turned into blood. And just so you guys know, like every plague is a way of God kind of like mocking the Egyptian gods, right? Because back then, and still to this day, people worship false gods, which is the second commandment, not to idolize false gods. But the Egyptians were doing that. They had a god for water, for the sun, for the land. They had a bunch of fake gods, demons, right? There's only one God in this world, and that's just God, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. So, right, so the first one is water gets turned into blood. the Nile River. The second one, frogs. There's a frog invasion everywhere throughout the land of Egypt. The third one is a bunch of like gnats appeared from dust. The third one is swarms of flies and animals, wild animals. The fifth one, all livestock dies. The sixth one is, like boils on the Egyptians. The seventh one is hail, right? It devastates the whole land. The eighth one is a swarm of locusts, and it destroys all the crops. The ninth one is darkness. There was darkness for 3 days in a row. And the tenth one, which was the most important one, was the death of the firstborn. So this is where we actually get Passover. And what God told Moses was, hey, look, tell your people to, get the lamb and cover your front door with blood, right? Because if you guys don't do that, I'm going to come by and kill anyone who is not inside that house and has the blood in front of the house. Of course, the Egyptians didn't listen, as we know, and all the, firstborn babies of the Egyptians died. This is where Pharaoh had, he panicked. He's like, Moses, you and your people are free to go. And the Israelites not fled, but they started leaving. This is where they kind of enter their wilderness season, right? They leave Egypt and they're going to the promised land. And just so you guys know, God guided them. So during the day, they were guided by a pillar of cloud, and by night they were guided by fire, by like a cloud of fire. And the pillar, aka God, or the cloud, God never departed from the Egyptians. So now we get to the point where Pharaoh, his ego, right? We all have ego. He kind of starts hesitating his decision. He's like, damn, I let them go too easily. I should have kept them here. They were my slaves. Like, why would I let slaves just leave for free just because they're God's chosen people? So he regrets his decision. He gets his army and they start, chasing the Israelites again, right? Moses and all the people. And as you guys know, Moses and all the Israelites, they're in the middle, right? So the Red Sea is right here, and Pharaoh and his army are chasing them, right? So they're stuck. They're like, oh my God, we're gonna get killed, we're gonna die. And as we know, He's always on our side. If we believe in Him, if we give our lives to Him, He'll always be there to protect us and guide us. And this is where we get the famous story or the miracle actually, because it is a miracle, where Moses departs the Red Sea, right? Beautiful story when I first read it. An interesting fact is the Red Sea was split in half at night, which for some reason I thought it was during the day, but at night even makes it more scarier and in some way more powerful. Because think about it. Think about the trust that the Israelites had to put in God when the ocean departed in half. I'm not sure if you guys ever been fishing late at night or gone swimming late at night in the ocean. That's scary because why? You can't see at the bottom. You don't know what animals are in there. If there's a shark, you guys know. So, right, God departs the Red Sea, and the Israelites get to the other side safely. And as we know, the Egyptians, like once again, ego, they go in there too. They start chasing them through the Red Sea, but at that time, God's chosen people, the Israelites, had already made it. So what does God do? He sends the sea back to how it was, and all the Egyptians and Israelites died. Not the Israelites, I'm sorry. The army. Pharaoh's army and him. They passed away. Now, this is where, faith and the test of God starts coming to the Israelites. So after 3 days, as we know, we as human beings, after God does a miracle for us, what do we do right after? We start complaining. Instead of being grateful, we start complaining, we start whining. Oh, we could have done, God, you could have done this much better. No, I wanted it this way, blah, blah, blah. We know how, I've done that in the past. So after 3 days in, the people, the Israelites, they start complaining to Moses. Oh, Moses, we have no water. We're going to die of thirst. You should have just kept us as slaves. We had food, we had water, we had shelter. So what happens? God prevails. God gives him water. There's like dirt water in there, and God tells Moses, "Hey Moses, get that log, throw it in the water, and it makes the water sweet." Right? Then the Israelites start, grumbling again. Oh, we're gonna die in Egypt. We have no food. We're gonna die of hunger. We had food in Egypt when we were slaves. We ate fish, meat, chicken, all those things. So once again, God provides manna from heaven, bread, and it's just God is testing the Israelites' faith, right? Are they being grateful people or ungrateful, right? This was a pretty big lesson for me. When God does a miracle in my life, am I being thankful for it, or am I just, oh God, you could have done this much better. Oh, why didn't I get that? Why am I in this position right now, right? And this is what I learned. My biggest lesson from the book of Exodus was to be grateful and be a positive person, guys. God loves positivity and gratitude. And it's funny. While you're reading this, let me show it to you guys. I made 50 reasons to be grateful. Let's see if I have it right, if I can pull it up. I don't know what I named it. Oh, yeah, 50 things I'm grateful for. I don't know if you guys can see that. Oh my god. Might be too bright. Guys, I'm not a YouTuber. I don't know how to do this. Oh, there you go. Right, and it doesn't have to be like, oh yeah, I'm grateful for like a big, really big achievement, guys. Of course, you're gonna be grateful for that. Are you grateful for those small things though? Like for example, like I'm grateful that that I have God, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit in my life. Right? I'm grateful for my Bible that's in my room. Right? I'm grateful that I'm improving at obeying God. Right? I'm grateful for, hey, look behind me, electricity. I wouldn't be able to make this video right now if I didn't have any electricity in my house, right? I'm grateful for Wi-Fi, for my computer, for the headphones so you guys can hear me. I'm grateful for my tongue so I can speak right now. I'm grateful for my phone, right? So I would have not been able to write this right here. I'm grateful for my fingers, for my ability to comprehend. That's my dad right there. He's probably gonna come and ask me what I'm doing. Right? And then I have other ones, family, friends, my body, my gratitude, love, happiness, my ability to see, hear, read, touch, smell, taste, comprehend, read. I think I already said that. The earth, water, food, right? I mean, guys, I'm grateful for my gym, right? I love to lift my lifting straps. I'm grateful for everything, guys, right? So you guys should probably try something like this. It's silly. You probably don't even have to do 50. Maybe you can do 10, 5, just a little bit of gratitude. So now we keep going, guys. So, guys, as we know, remember when Moses killed that man in Egypt and he fled to Midian? Moses met there, I believe, Jethro. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but it was like, it was his wife's dad. So it will be his. Oh, I forgot. How do you say that again? Oh, I'm just gonna. I don't know. I forgot, guys. So Jethro was a priest, and when Moses fled Egypt, Jethro gave Moses like a spot refuge, and he provided leadership towards Moses. He kind of mentored Moses in some ways, right? So, as we know, Moses was the leader of the Israelites. So every time they had a problem, they would have to come to Moses. So Moses was being overworked, right? 15, 16, 18-hour shifts every day. That's probably my guess. And Jethro came to Moses, he's like, hey man, like you're being overworked right now. Like you're not going to be able to fulfill what God has for you because you're not delegating to other people. There's a lot of talent with the Israelites. It's okay with you giving some power to other people so you have time back for yourself, right? And this is important in life, guys, because we can't do everything ourselves, right? Sometimes I'm guilty of this, but especially with me, I work with foreclosures. When I have to stop a foreclosure, instead of trusting and giving the file to someone else, I'm like, I stop this all the time. I know how to do it. I know that I can do it. I've never been able to not postpone a foreclosure. I'm very good at it. So why give it to someone else? Like I don't trust anybody else, and I probably should, right? And that's something that I got to improve on in my business, so I can gain more leverage and be able to make more money. Now, so Jethro comes and tells, "Hey Moses, delegate, you know, Go gather a couple leaders that you trust and tell them, hey, look, you guys are gonna handle the small stuff. If you guys need big, help with something serious or anything like that, come to me. All right. And what the interesting is, once Moses delegated his work and gave himself more time, he bought himself time. That's where Moses hear the Ten Commandments for the first time orally from God, right? So that's pretty powerful. He delegated, and then he had more time to be able to spend with God, and now God started speaking with him orally about the Ten Commandments. So now we have here, guys. I'm not gonna go the Ten Commandments say it line by line from the Bible because it is a little bit too long, and I don't want to make this video too long. But I have it right here, like a simplified version, and I want to go through them one by one and what it means to me. So the first commandment is put God first. Pretty simple, right? But it's actually very hard to do, guys, especially in this society with social media and how our current world is. People love to idolize other things, right? Money, fame, cars, watches. And I'm not saying you can't do that, but remember, you got to put God first. And this is a reminder to myself, don't worship money. Don't worship the way you look, where you live. Put God first. If you put God first, everything else will be able to flourish. Number two, which I do really good at. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but the second one is do not make fake gods. I'm actually really good at this, guys. I only worship God, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. I don't worship any statues, crystals. I hear sometimes where people like warm up crystals during the day and then they put it out at night for the moon to recharge them. Guys, don't do that. That's nothing, has nothing to do with God. Don't worship fake images, nothing like that. God does not like that. God is a very jealous God. He only likes to be worshipped because he's the real one. He's the truth. Right? The third one is respect God's name. Right? Don't take his name in vanity, in vain. The fourth one is respect God's day of rest. Remember, guys, we spoke about God made the earth in 6 days and then took the seventh day as a rest day. So if God put in the commandments, we should take it seriously too, right? The fifth one, respect your parents, right? Shout out to my mom and dad. I love you guys. I doubt they're going to be watching these videos because they don't speak English. So, well, my dad does, but I don't know if he'll be watching this. The sixth one is do not kill people. The seventh one is respect marriage promises, guys. Guys, when you get married, keep your word, right? Not because you want to keep your word to your spouse. Of course, you want to keep your word to your spouse, but most importantly, you want to keep your word to God. If you're going to marry someone, that's for life, guys. That's where you got to be careful who you marry. Number 8, do not steal. Number 9, do not lie. Guys, this is where I struggle with. Not in the way that you think, but we all lie, right? But my type of lying is, hey, Simon, you ready, bro? Yeah, man, I'm ready. Meanwhile, I'm still in the shower, right? Or I'm brushing my teeth. And technically, that's lying, guys, because I'm not ready. So, and number 10 is do not be jealous. Remember, if you're jealous of people, you're blocking your talents, right? Imagine being jealous of someone who's very good at jumping, right? But you're very good at running. By you being jealous of that person, you're not going to be able to see your talents. Remember, God blessed us in many different ways. All right, and then Moses also receives orally more additional laws like civil laws, moral laws, ceremonial laws, guidelines for worshiping and sacrifices, and so on. So, guys, right, so Moses receives this, then he goes up to Mount Sinai for the first time, right? And another lesson I learned was that I thought that Moses wrote the Ten Commandments, and he did not write them. He held the two tablets. That's very different. Writing something and holding something are two different things. And I want to say this, I have actually took down the verse. So the Ten Commandments were written by the finger of God. So this is where it goes. It's Exodus chapter 31 verse 18. I'm going to read it off right now. And he gave to Moses, when he had finished speaking with him on Mount Sinai, the two tablets of the testimony, tablets of stone, written with the finger of God. I'm going to say that again. Written with the finger of God. Right? So, some people say, oh, Simon, why should I listen to the Ten Commandments when it was written by man? And at first, guys, that's a pretty good objection. Yeah, that is kind of true. They were written by Moses. He was a human being just like you and I. And then I read this verse, and I'm like, whoa. Now I know that the Ten Commandments were not written by Moses. They were held by Moses. Moses held the two tablets, but they were written by God. Right? So, guys, as we know, Moses get the Ten Commandments. He comes down, right? He's happy. He's excited. He's going to show the Israelites. But guess what the Israelites are doing while he's up there 40 days and 40 nights with God? They're worshiping Moloch, right? It's Moloch. So they get bored and they take all the Israelites like, hey, look, let's burn our gold and let's make a statue. And that's what they do. And Moses comes down, sees that. He gets so mad. Bam, he breaks the tablets. Think about it. They were just written by God. He breaks them. And Moses is like, what are you guys doing? You guys know the first commandment, put God first. You know, the second one, do not make false gods. You know, respect God's name. And the Israelites, once again, they distance themselves away from God. What happens when we do that as human beings? If we distance ourselves from God, we start worshiping things that are out of God's purpose. So that gets them in trouble. And you'll be surprised, guys. 3,000 men died that day, right? They were killed, and also the Lord, meaning God, sent an additional plague to a certain amount of people, right? And as we know, Moses and God talk back again, and then Moses goes back on Mount Sinai for another 40 days and 40 nights, and he rewrites the Ten Commandments so that he can put it in the Ark of the Covenant and the Tent of Meeting and all of that. And a very special character that I actually read was Bezalel, guys, and Oholiab. And these two gentlemen were blessed by the Spirit of God to construct the tabernacle and create the Ark of the Covenant. Right? That's pretty powerful. I think that I found that very interesting because, as we know, the tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant are very two important things in the Old Testament. But guys, with that being said, I want to highlight how important Moses was to the Israelites, because every time Moses spoke with God, or when he came down from Mount Sinai, he was so holy that his face would glow white, and this would scare the people away from him. Like, that's why they had so much respect of him, because that's how close he was to God. Alright guys, so this was the book of Exodus. Thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something. God bless. Peace out. Bye bye.